Welcome, dear Leo souls, both those who have walked with us through many moons and those who've just stumbled upon this cosmic den we call Golden Fortune Leo. Whether you've been roaring alongside this channel since its earliest readings or just arrived chasing a hunch or a horoscope, know this: you didn't get here by accident. The stars don't deal in randomness. They deal in divine timing, and Leo, this moment was marked for you. Now, I've been studying the Leo archetype for decades. And let me tell you, this sign is no casual sunbeam. Leos love with their whole chest, fight with their whole heart, and often take longer to heal than they're willing to admit because surrender doesn't come naturally to royalty. It's in your cosmic DNA to be bold, to protect, and to shine. But what many forget is that even the sun has stormy weather. And this reading? It's not a routine update. It's a soul checkpoint. One of those moments where the universe pulls you aside and says, "Hey, are you really okay, or just performing okay?" We open this cycle with a reminder that you're trying to stay emotionally light. You want to be unbothered, detached, above it all. The Page of Cups shows us that you're attempting to tread water with grace. But let's not sugarcoat it inside, it's not calm seas. It's a dramatic monologue with mood lighting and probably some mental reruns from 2019. You're trying to be zen, but your heart has other plans. Plans with plot twists. Then, as the reading unfolds, we see you've made a strong mental decision. A King of Swords moment, paired with an iron grip on what you've decided. You're not just setting boundaries, you're guarding your castle gates like a seasoned warrior. There's no indecision here. But while your mind may be clear, your heart is quietly boarding a lifeboat. The energy of emotional distancing is strong. You're slowly backing away from something or someone. And even if you haven't taken visible action yet, your soul has already stepped out the door. Then comes the Tower, a universal mic drop. This is where things cracked open. Something unexpected pulled the rug out from under you. Emotionally, the shutdown was immediate. One moment you were open, the next, you flipped the switch. Maybe it was a betrayal, a truth you couldn't unsee, or simply the weight of accumulated exhaustion. Whatever it was, it signaled an ending that needed to happen. And your current energy reflects that, an attempt to protect your peace while quietly cleaning up the debris. But here's the thing, this isn't just about this one situation. It's bigger than that. This experience is the final chapter in a much older cycle. One that likely began years ago and has silently shaped the way you give and receive love. The emotional patterns, the stories you've told yourself, the way your heart has been conditioned to show up, they're all coming to a head. What you're experiencing now is like the final page in a long karmic book. And once you close it, you'll be writing your love story from a whole new place. You might feel frustrated with yourself for not being more decisive or cutthroat. But pause. The reason you haven't slammed the door yet isn't weakness, it's wisdom. The Leo you used to be may have roared and burned bridges in a second. But the Leo you're becoming? You understand that healing sometimes looks like stillness. Sometimes growth isn't a war cry, it's a whispered boundary and a quiet retreat. You're evolving. Not just spiritually, but emotionally. And that evolution comes with resistance. You've delayed facing some truths because, let's be honest, who wants to do shadow work on a Thursday night? But the lesson here is clear: the longer you delay, the heavier it gets. And now, the resistance itself is what you're being called to release. You're being invited gently but firmly to handle things as they arise, not as they explode. This mid-May message, then, isn't just a reading, it's a rite of passage. A signpost for those who feel chosen for something more in 2025. Not chosen for struggle, but for strength. For awakening. For the courage to say, this is not how my story ends. Because in the year of triumph 2025, Leo, you're not just surviving cycles. You're ending them with grace, with power, and with the quiet roar of someone who finally understands their worth. And that's what I call real victory. Let's talk about the real moment your lion heart decided to pull back, not with drama, but with surgical precision. You didn't storm out. You didn't slam the door. You just stepped back. Quietly. Thoughtfully. Like someone backing away from a conversation that suddenly turned radioactive. That's the Seven of Swords in full retreat mode, an elegant exit, cloaked in silence, with a polite smile that says, "Oh no, I'm good. I just remembered I left myself on read." Now layer that with the moon, and we're officially off the map. Something about this situation is just off. It's confusing, murky, maybe even a little magical, like you're trying to decode the emotional equivalent of a dream written in invisible ink. There's something there, you feel it in your bones, but it's slippery. And instead of chasing clarity, you've chosen distance. Which, let me say, takes maturity, Leo. Growth isn't always about charging ahead. Sometimes it's about knowing when to step aside without setting fire to the whole kingdom. But then comes the kicker, the Four of Cups. This isn't disappointment in them. This isn't about what they didn't say, or forgot to acknowledge. No. This one's internal. You're disappointed in you. And that stings deeper than any betrayal. Maybe you stayed too long. Maybe you didn't speak up when your soul whispered no, or maybe you're just grieving the version of yourself that still believed things would turn out differently. Either way, it's the kind of self-awareness that's both brutal and beautiful. Welcome to the club. We've got herbal tea and shadow work prompts. Which leads us to what I like to call the ghost zone, the Five of Cups energy. This is where emotional residue lingers, like that one sock you swear you threw out 3 laundry days ago. You know it's there. You feel it. But instead of facing it, you do what we all do when our spirit inbox gets overloaded. You swipe left on your own healing. Unread. Unresolved. Unwelcome for now. But here's the twist. If you're one of the chosen ones, and I believe you are, you can't outrun what your soul still needs to process. You're not being haunted by old wounds, you're being invited to complete the healing you once delayed. It's not punishment. It's alignment. And even as you retreat, there's still this flicker, a soft, shaky hope. That Six of Pentacles energy. A desire for balance. Equal give and take. A connection that doesn't require performance or pretense. But let's be honest, you're not exactly arms wide open right now. You're emotionally folded like origami. Still, some stubborn, sacred part of you is whispering, maybe this could work, someday. Hope is weird like that. It survives where logic runs out. Now comes the Page of Pentacles, the student card, announcing a deep cosmic lesson is en route, and it's not coming quietly. This isn't some cliché learn to love yourself Pinterest mantra. No. This is a soul upgrade kind of lesson. The kind that arrives late, hits hard, and changes how you love forever. The kind that turns wounds into wisdom. Because now, in the year of triumph 2025, you're not just attracting love. You're curating it. With discernment. With clarity. With a spiritual backbone stronger than ever before. You're done confusing chemistry with alignment. You're calling in what matches your frequency, not your fantasy. And that, Leo, is the most powerful magic of all. So if it feels like you're moving through molasses emotionally, that's okay. You're not behind. You're just in the part of the movie where the hero trains in silence, right before the final act. Stay the course, chosen one. You're building a love and a life that's finally worthy of your roar. You ever had one of those moments where you've mentally checked out, but physically you're still lingering like someone at a party who said goodbye 15 minutes ago and is now awkwardly eating one more chip by the door? That's exactly the energy you're moving through right now, Leo. You're halfway out, energetically detached, but still standing in the kitchen of your emotions, hoping the house doesn't collapse before you finish your metaphorical tea. That tower moment yet, it didn't just rattle you. It shut something off completely. We're talking full emotional shutdown. No signals. No responses. Just that eerie silence when your heart goes into offline mode. And here's the thing, you didn't lose your ability to feel, you just put your emotions in airplane mode because something inside of you said, that's enough. And honestly, good on you. That's emotional intelligence in action. It just doesn't feel like growth while you're in it. But you're trying. You really are. There's this part of you, the part ruled by the sun itself, that's stretching out, looking for joy like it's a radio signal in the middle of nowhere. The sun and the Seven of Cups show you reaching for happiness, scanning the shelves of your life to find something, anything that still brings light. And it's frustrating, because what used to work doesn't quite hit the same. But you haven't stopped searching. That, my friend, is Leo resilience. You don't just roll over. You rise, even when it's messy. Now here's where things get beautifully deep. You're not just going through a breakup or closing a chapter. You're finishing an entire karmic volume. The moon, the Empress, and the world show us this isn't just about who hurt you or who didn't choose you. It's about how you love, how you've been conditioned to love, how you've chased it, clung to it, sacrificed for it. And now? That old pattern is retiring. You're evolving into something richer, wiser, calmer. You're stepping into what I like to call Heart 2.0 now, with built-in boundaries and better emotional Wi-Fi. But of course, in classic Leo style, you're also annoyed. Annoyed that you're not slamming the door like you used to. You're thinking, why can't I just burn this bridge and strut off dramatically? But here's the spiritual twist, it's because you've grown. You're no longer that quick trigger, cut and run version of yourself. You've upgraded to someone who understands that closure isn't always loud. Sometimes, it's a quiet breath and a long pause before walking away. And this slow detachment? This isn't weakness. It's a cosmic detox. You're not just letting someone go, you're detoxing from an outdated emotional operating system. So if this process feels frustratingly slow, or painfully subtle, know this, it's supposed to be. Because the soul doesn't do shortcuts. And neither do the chosen ones. This isn't just about healing. It's about reformatting your entire relationship blueprint. And that, dear Leo, is why it's taking time. You're not just ending something. You're preparing for something far, far better. There's a moment somewhere deep in the center of this reading when I see you, Leo, looking back. Not with regret, but with that tender kind of nostalgia that sneaks up on you in the quiet moments. You remember being happy. Not performatively happy, not social media happy. I mean genuinely happy, the kind that lives in your belly and lights up your laugh. And that memory alone? That's proof it still lives in you. Sure, maybe it's taken the scenic route back. Maybe joy is running late because it stopped to pick up some emotional baggage and a latte. But it's still on its way. The spark is there. And the fact that you can remember that light? That's the soul's version of a tracking number. It means joy hasn't left you, it's just circling the block until you're ready to open the door. But let's be honest, this process is slow. Like molasses on a winter morning slow. And for a fire sign like Leo, that kind of pace is torture. You are wired for momentum. You thrive on passion, decisions, direction. So sitting still while the universe loads your next chapter? That feels like a spiritual buffering wheel that just won't quit. In the year of triumph 2025, no less. You were promised fireworks, and instead you're being handed a patience test and a meditation cushion. I know. Believe me, I know. But here's the catch, this slowness isn't punishment. It's preparation. It's your higher self pacing the process so that when you do rise and you will, it won't be from impulse or pain. It'll be from clarity, sovereignty, and power. And here's where the shift begins. The real shift. You're finally starting to understand the lesson that's been knocking at your door like a persistent spiritual Amazon delivery. The message? Stop avoiding the hard stuff. Deal with things as they come up. Don't let the tough conversations, the messy emotions, the inconvenient truths pile up like dishes in the sink of your soul. You've danced with avoidance. You've lit incense and called it closure. You've meditated your way around conversations you needed to have. But now, Leo, you're being asked to show up differently. Not reactively. Not dramatically. But courageously. And that is your real breakthrough. Because let's face it, growth isn't glamorous. It's not all crystals and candlelight. Sometimes, it's sitting in the uncomfortable truth that something has to change and you're the one who has to change it. That awareness alone? That's the game changer. That's what turns pain into purpose. So yes, it's hard. Yes, you're tired. But the very fact that you know you're in the middle of something big means you're not asleep at the wheel anymore. You're awake. You're aware. And that's everything. Because this isn't a breakdown. It's a breakthrough. And now comes the final nudge from the universe through the wild, fearless wisdom of your oracle card, the Boar. Let me be real with you. Bravery is not strapping on armor and going to battle with your emotions. Bravery is facing your fear without needing to look fearless. The Boar teaches us that courage isn't loud. It's steady. It's sacred. It's that quiet decision to rise even when your knees are shaking. Ask yourself honestly. Where do I need to show up braver? Am I being bold or am I just being impulsive? Can I balance my natural fire with the wisdom I've worked so hard to earn? That's the work now. That's where the magic lives. Not in being louder, but in being wiser. And if lately, you've felt like the universe has singled you out, like you've been chosen to carry a weight that few others understand, then I'll tell you what I've told countless Leos before you, you're not imagining it. You have been chosen. Not because you're perfect, but because you're willing. Because you keep showing up, even when your roar feels more like a whisper. Because you're not just going through this, you're regrowing through it. And that's what makes you one of the chosen ones in this year of triumph 2025. This isn't just about healing a broken heart or navigating a rough patch. This is your soul's personal renovation. This is you trading in survival mode for divine alignment. This is you learning that real power isn't in how loudly you roar but in how deeply you trust. So as you walk forward from here, Leo, do it with grace. Do it with laughter. Do it with the full understanding that you are not lost. You are becoming. Slowly. Bravely. Beautifully. And while you're at it, live a little. Go out. Dance badly. Eat dessert first. Laugh too loud. Let joy know you're ready to receive it again. And if this reading resonated with you even a little, help spread that Leo light. Like the video. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. And hit that subscribe button to stay connected with this ever-growing, ever-healing cosmic pride we call Golden Fortune Leo. Your journey matters. Your roar is returning. And I can't wait to see how loudly you shine next.